Hello, everyone, and welcome to KYE Interactive. I am your host, Dr. Shafali Bharadwaj. On this digital platform, we have spoken to people who have dreamt big, followed their dreams and passion rather than choosing to seek employment. People who chose to do something different, perhaps something more meaningful and impactful. Our guest for today is Mr. Neel Shah. Neel is a filmmaker, a marketer, author, and a podcaster. Neel has been running a content production house for the last 6 years by the name of Neel Shah Productions, where they make short films, documentaries, ad films, and podcasts. Primarily, the content from Neel Shah Production is available on YouTube, but their last short film on mental health, called State of Mind, is featured on Amazon Prime Video in the US and the UK. They also have two science fiction podcasts called Beyond Human and Descent, streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcasts. Neel has recently ventured into selling their merchandise, which are print-on-demand T-shirts. Neel is also the published author of Smart Labor, a book on student entrepreneurship. Wow, Neel, that is so impressive and inspiring to see your achievements at this age. I would like to tell our viewers that Neel is just 20 years old and he has a long, long way to achieve his dreams and make it really big. I welcome you to the KYE platform today. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm great. How are you? Firstly, thank you so much for the introduction. That is very kind.
Great. It's an
How are
absolute
you?
pleasure. I'm doing very well, Neel. Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here and talk to you. So, without any further ado, let's start with the questions. I cannot wait to know your journey. Shall we start?
Yes.
Super. So, my first question to you is I want to know from you what has been your motivation in becoming an entrepreneur, or what drives you to do what you do?
So there's this Casey Neistat quote wherein he says that behind every action there's intent, but without action, your intent means nothing. So I remember when I was in eighth grade, I joined a children's theater group, uh, completely by luck. Nothing was ever planned or anything, and I joined the group. I started learning a bit of acting, and over time, over the span of a year, I did two plays, and it was then that I realized that realized my passion for acting, for direction, for production in general. After my journey with that theater group ended, which was that must be in 2014 or 15, and that's when I thought I can start a YouTube channel just by myself, like just randomly making videos on YouTube, like not very cinematic content per se, but just like random comedy slapstick videos on YouTube. So that's when I started using, and then eventually went on to making more meaningful content uh, on YouTube, on Prime, on podcast, and so on and so forth. So like that would kind of be my motivation to spread the right message, but still make it like a fun, like a more fun to watch thing for the audience.
Right. So more fun and yet
Yeah,
more meaningful content. That's very
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I want to know from you what are the factors that give you a feeling of accomplishment? मतलब ऐसा क्या करके लगता है कि you say to yourself, Neil, well done.
I mean, I always believe that the best is still yet to come, but just considering the previous things that I've worked on. So my book Smart Labor, which is based on student entrepreneurship, and the film State of Mind, which is now streaming on Amazon Prime Video in the US and UK. These two things got a lot of eyes on me in terms of the scale. So more and more people started knowing about me, more people started reaching out to me for work, for collaboration, etc. So these two would be my biggest achievements, and yeah.
Right. So can you tell us very briefly about what is there in State of Mind? And I'm sure our viewers will go back and watch it wherever possible. But if we could just tell us in probably very briefly.
Uh, so State of Mind is an anthology silent short film based on the lives of multiple people, of how people that you know, or maybe just people that just exist in your neighborhood can be dealing with mental health issues, and you won't even realize, and how extreme can that situations be. So we just depicted multiple people going through, illnesses, but not just, we've not stuck to the common stress, depression. We also like gone a step ahead and, shown schizophrenia, Asperger's syndrome, and so on and so forth. So it's a short 8-minute films, also streaming on YouTube. You can log on to youtube.com/Neel Shah Productions, or if you are in the US or UK, you can also look it up on Amazon Prime Video.
Great. So we'll also put a link to this documentary in our description box, and our viewers can watch it. And I'm sure it'll be a treat to watch, because mental health, I think, is a topic that that needs to be spoken about. We usually just try to put it under the carpet and not address it, which is not the right thing to do for the society.
Yeah.
So that's nice. And next question, Neve. Whenever anybody is trying to get onto their journey or follow their passion, there are a lot of barriers, a lot of hesitations, a lot of obstacles that one has to overcome. Be it people around us, be it family, be it your own thoughts. So what have been your obstacles or your barriers, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, so when I was starting out, the biggest barrier that I faced was not being able to reach out to a lot of people. So even every time I make content, my audience would be limited to my friends and family. It was very important for me to break out of that radius and go ahead.
Right.
And while I was on my way to doing that, like focusing more on PR, more, and other collaborations, one thing that kind of didn't work out well was the quality, right? Like getting the right kind of equipment, getting the right kind of people to work with you and for you. So that was an obstacle that we faced earlier, and that also requires a lot of capital, right? And when you have multiple people working with you, you need capital. So what a few of my friends and I decided was to bootstrap that initial capital. So when we started making content, you pick up the initial skills, right? You pick up script writing, video editing, etc. So very obvious profession would have been marketing, right? So we started freelancing firstly, then we also started working with agencies, with like the biggest brands of India, and started bootstrapping the initial capital. And so eventually most of the problems were eventually figured. But also, like, just to give another solution if someone's also going through the same thing. So all the questions that I was seeking answers to when I was just starting out have all been addressed, like, in my book Smart Labor. So if you have the time, you can check it out on Amazon and on Flipkart as well. It's a book based on student entrepreneurship, how to start your first startup, how to bootstrap money, how to raise money, how to network correctly, how can you make the best of your student life, more specifically the best of your undergrad college life, how to manage your money, manage finances, how to invest the money either back into the business or elsewhere, so you get a good ROI. So yeah, that's
Great.
my obstacle.
So listening to you, what I understand is that you have made conscious efforts to plan step by step, identify your challenges, and work on them. That's really nice, and I think that is also a lesson or a learning for our viewers who are watching here, right? So, what factors do you think will help you achieve your business aspirations, or how do you see, or where do you see your business growing in future?
So expansion is definitely like the primary focus, to get more and more people to view our content, and not just watch it, but like also like take something from it. So for example, our last ad film is called Cigarette Chronicles. It's a 3-minute film, but it's based on this man who's an addict, but he's also been diagnosed with erectile dysfunction. It's a very slapstick comedy-ish video, but also has a message, and so it's a music video actually. It's about how the whole journey, the one before that, we spoken about how internet censorship is an issue in India, how it started with banning porn, and now it has eventually, now people want to censor content on OTT platforms. So before that, as you said, State of Mind was a film on mental health. So getting more and more people aware about such issues, but still making it more fun, as I said earlier. So that is what the goal is. And the second one would be to try new things, or to explore multiple content format, either with just YouTube videos, films on OTT platforms, merchandise, as we've started last year, podcast, and we're trying to get into game development. That is something we're looking forward to towards the end of this year. And so yeah, that would be going to try new things.
Great. We wish you all the best for this. And two things
Thank
that I
you.
like the most out of them is story and the games. And I think no matter what your age, we all love stories, we all love games.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to put a message across.
Hmm.
So great. Next question, Neel. Usually, whatever work we do, whether it's your job or it's following your passion, it always
Hmm.
ends up having an impact on you, right?
Hmm.
So, what do you
Hmm.
think, and how do you think your ventures has changed you as a person?
I think, like not just me, I think I speak for most people that every time you do something new, it comes with a lot of empathy and perspective, right? Like for example, if you start cooking, you understand how difficult it can be, and you start empathizing with the person that cooks for you every single day. So
Absolutely.
similarly, even for me, the thing I've learned is that it is okay to be a beginner at things you are interested in. You don't have to compare yourself with industry titans, but just start. Because the reason behind someone's outstanding achievements is not just talent, but also shameless persistence, right? You keep at it, and then eventually, it's gonna take shape. It's like the Steve Jobs speech that he made that you can only connect the dots when you look backwards, and that's when you realize that everything fell into place.
Yes.
Even your failures eventually, make sense to you
Yes.
at the end of the day. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I feel like that's how it's changed me. Like I'm not afraid of failure, but I'm afraid of not trying.
Great. That's very nice. Not being afraid of failure, but being afraid of not trying. And I think what you're trying
Yeah.
to say here is that you need to follow your own journey, not compare, learn from others, but not compare or
Mhm.
try and compete.
Yeah.
Just look at how you
Yeah.
can improve day
Yeah.
on day basis, right? Being your own compass.
Yeah.
Great.
Hmm.
So, lastly, I would like to ask you to give us some words of wisdom or some message to the other budding entrepreneurs or upcoming entrepreneurs. What are your words of wisdom to them?
Um, it's going to sound cliche, but like just start. Okay, like there's nothing more difficult as like than starting it because even luck only works when you're prepared. Opportunities will come to you if you're prepared. Otherwise, like we are in India. India is a growing economy. There's a ton of things to do, but you've got to be prepared, man. So yeah, just
Right.
start.
So, start is your message to all our viewers.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that's even if that does not sound great, it's the biggest part of
yeah,
starting your journey,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
thank you very much, Neil, for that. And I really want to thank you for coming to the KYE platform and sharing your story with all of us. I am sure this is going to be very inspiring for a lot of young minds and actually everyone, irrespective of the age.
Mm.
And reaching
Yeah.
out to the world with your good work makes us so proud of you as Indians. And a generation like you is the very necessary foundation of a great nation. Our viewers can find the link to Neel's website and the details on the book Smart Labor in the description section below. Thank you for your time, Neel, and KYE wishes you all the very best for your future and the world. Wish you a lot of
Thank you. Thank you
success.
for having me. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you
having
very
me.
much.